Welcome to We Are Women, Unapologetically, the podcast that talks about the good, bad, ugly, and awesome. Careers, life transitions, confidence, and everything in between. Because shift happens, but you don't have to do it alone.
The start of summer is officially next week. And before you say yes to one more "can we get this done before you go out on vacation" request, pause. Some things truly need to be completed. A client needs an answer, a decision has to happen, a handoff has to be clear before someone leaves for 2 weeks. Those right there, they're non-negotiables. But every request doesn't deserve the same level of urgency. That is exactly where summer gets tricky because people are out, kids are out of school, vacations stack, holidays interrupt the rhythm, and still the work is there waiting. The mistake that people make is trying to move everything through the same process at the same pace with fewer available people and less room to think. That is how urgency starts running your calendar. Every request starts to feel important, every deadline starts to feel tight, every meeting starts to feel necessary, and before long, your calendar is driving the work instead of you. So today we are going to be changing that just in time for summer. Welcome to We Are Women Unapologetically. I am your host, Jessica Cumming. Today's episode is for the leader, the manager, the project owner, the senior individual contributor, and the high performer who is trying to keep the work moving while the calendar keeps changing faster than putting together a shopping list. Now, we're not going to spend the whole episode discussing every reason summer feels complicated because you already know that the calendar math gets messy. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to drive straight into how to fix this, how to sort the work, how to plan around PTO, how to make trade-offs visible, and how to reset the week before urgency takes over. Because the reality is that you don't need to match the urgency, you need to pace the work. We all know that summer changes standard business operations more than you may realize. The business goals may stay the same, but the timing and urgency around those goals change. If you don't account for that, your calendar will account for it for you. Because during summer, response times not only slow down, but meetings move, approvals take longer, parents and caregivers have different demands on their attention, and team members may be working around travel, camp, family schedules, or simply trying to use the time off that they have earned. And the research backs up what many leaders already feel. When workload, timing, and availability are not managed clearly, performance, trust, and decision quality all take a hit. This is a variable that needs to be considered because pretending otherwise only creates avoidable rework, delayed decisions, and unnecessary pressure. Work does not stop, standards do not disappear, but timelines still matter, and you need to account for this busy season, not the one you wish you were in. So if you're a leader, acknowledge it to the team. A simple sentence can reset the room. Summer is here and availability is going to start looking different. Let's adjust how we move the work around and plan to accomplish everything so we're not creating unnecessary urgency. That one sentence right there tells people that the work still matters, but more importantly, that you are going to lead through it instead of pretending that nothing has changed in their schedules. That is how you lead through a busy season. Name the situation, adjust the timing, help people focus on what actually needs to be accomplished. Strategy 1, sort through the work by the energy that is actually needed. Most teams sort their strategy with a deadline. What to do first, what's already late, who has a loudest follow-up. Those questions matter, but during summer, they don't tell the whole story. Leaders also need to ask, what level of attention does each piece of work actually need right now? In order to do this, you can use 3 categories: priority, progress, hold. Priority is for high-stakes, external, or critical decision work. These are the people or projects that need your full attention. A client-facing deliverable, a senior leadership recommendation, a financial update, a strategic plan, those are all examples of what may need priority. When something needs priority, make sure to communicate that clearly. This needs to be your focus because the decision depends on it. That gives the team direction. It tells people where to bring their full attention. Progress is for the work that needs to move, but it doesn't necessarily need to be final. Some examples of that might be a draft, direction, next step that keeps momentum, short summary, or useful version. This is where leaders can save the team enormous effort. A progress item doesn't need to be 100% complete. You can say this doesn't need to be final before Friday, but I do need a useful draft and 2 of the biggest risks. That sentence is not only specific, but it also gives the team a clear target without making the work heavier than it needs to be. And hold this for work when the timing is wrong. The right people are out and the decision doesn't have to happen this week. Forcing it now will create more cleanup later. When something can or should be held, say, we are going to hold this until the right people are back so we don't create extra work later. By using that sentence, you give people clarity and permission. It also prevents the team from pushing work forward just to feel like something is moving. When every single task receives the same urgency, people stop knowing where to truly focus. Sorting the work helps them do just that. So this week, ask 3 questions. What needs to be made a priority? What needs progress? And what can be held? That is the conversation that can change the pace and can change the entire week. Strategy 2, build the coverage map before the gap shows up. Coverage is more than just checking an email while someone is out. It is about continuity. Continuity requires intentional handoffs before someone leaves, not a frantic message after they're already gone. It's who can keep the work from getting stuck, who has the context, who can make the next move if needed, what should wait until the right person returns. So before someone goes out, have the 5-question conversation. Question number 1, what could stall while you're out? Surface the dependencies before they become emergencies. Question number 2, what decision do we need to make before you leave? Get the decision made while you still have the right person in the room. Question number 3, what context does someone else need? And write it down. Don't trust collective memory because collective memory is nice until everyone else remembers a different version. Question number 4, who can make the next move if needed? And name that person. Not the team, but a specific person. And question 5, what should wait until you return? This one right here is important because sometimes the best coverage plan is knowing when to leave it alone completely. Keep the handoff simple. Current status, next steps, decisions needed, the person covering, and what can wait. That is enough for most situations in vacation coverage because you do not need a 40-tab spreadsheet that you need to keep updating, but you need enough information for the work to continue without people guessing while you're out. Nobody wants to keep people guessing because nobody wants to come back from PTO and discover that 3 people tried to help and somehow created a brand new problem. And leaders, this rule applies to you too, because if you go out, your team should know what can move, what must wait, and who has the authority while you are unavailable. And I need to be very clear when I say this. If everything still requires your approval while you are on vacation and you are working just as much as you did in the office, you are not actually on vacation. You are working from a different location with better scenery. So build the coverage map before people leave. It protects continuity, gives the team a way to keep the right work moving without creating noise, and ensures that you are enjoying the time that you cannot get back with your friends and your family. Strategy number 3, name what changes before you say yes. We've talked about prioritizing and coverage, but now I want to discuss what you can do when someone asks, can we get this work done before the break? The answer might be yes, and it might even be necessary, but before you commit, ask one question. If we move this up, what has to be delayed, get simplified, or completely come off the table for now? That is the reality of a trade-off. When something moves up, something else usually has to move down. A project may need to wait, a meeting shortened, deliverable revisited to meet the deadline, or a stakeholder update that needs to be adjusted. Leaders get into trouble when they say yes to new requests and leave everything else unchanged. The work doesn't rearrange itself, people do. And often the cost of that, it doesn't even show up until later. But when leaders name what changed, teams can make better decisions with the time, energy, and resources that they actually have. By doing that, leaders preserve trust and they prevent teams from quietly absorbing the additional time and energy. Now, here's how you can address it. We can move this up, but that means the planning document moves to next week. We can get a draft before the break, but the final version needs to wait until the right reviewers are back. We can prioritize this request, but we need to simplify the internal update to do it. This task needs action, but it does not need everyone's full attention today. That is how you say yes while still looking at the reality of the situation. If everything stays important, nothing has truly been prioritized. If every deadline stays the same, nothing has been adjusted. If every item gets the same energy, the team has not been led or prioritized. They have been handed a prettier pile of crap. So before you say yes, ask what changes. What gets pushed, simplified, or a different timeline. That's going to be how you keep urgency from taking over the strategy. Strategy 4, the 10-minute summer reset. I want you to use this strategy this week to help you prioritize. Use it in your team meeting, use it in your project check-in, use it in your one-on-one, or use it on yourself before you send the next set of priorities. 10 minutes, 5 questions. Question 1, what needs to move this week? This gets the team focused on what truly deserves attention right now, not just what the squeakiest wheel is. Question 2, who is out or unavailable? Availability is part of the plan. If the person who owns the approval is out, don't build a timeline that depends on them. Question 3, what decision do we need? Your team doesn't need more meetings. They need clear and concise decisions. Question number 4, what can wait? This creates breathing room for everyone. Forcing work with the wrong context will make more cleanup than progress. Question number 5, what needs to be said clearly? And as part of the answer, what changed, what stayed, what's moving, who needs to know? This is where you close the loop. You can answer those 5 questions in 10 minutes. And if that 10 minutes can save you 10 hours of confusion, then that right there is a strong return on investment. But one important note, don't take this episode and create a brand new meeting that everybody quietly resents. Use the reset inside something that already exists. Add it to the top of your weekly huddle. Use it before the project check-ins. Use it before the project check-in ends. Use it with yourself before you send that "here are the priorities" message. Summer brings enough moving pieces. Your leadership should help people sort them, not make it more confusing. So let's make this concrete. It's Monday morning, 2 people are out, your approvers leave Thursday, a client update is due next week, an internal planning document is halfway finished, a new request just came in with the classic line of, "Can we get this done before the break?" With the summer reset that we just talked about, you handle it differently. The client update needs excellence because it's external and visible. The planning document needs progress. A clear draft, that's enough. The new request needs to be reviewed, but it does not need to be fully completed this week. The approver needs to make one decision before Thursday. The team needs one clear message that tells them what is moving, what is waiting, and who owns the next step. That right there is this week. No heroics, no guessing game. You sorted the work, planned around visibility, named what had to shift, and gave the team a new way to move. It doesn't require massive process. It requires a leader willing to pause just long enough to keep urgency from making every single decision for them. Here's what I want you to take away today. Summer changes the rhythm of work. There's no question about that. Leadership has to adjust with it. Sort the work by the energy it actually needs. Build the coverage map before the gap shows up. Name what shifts before you say yes. And use the 10-minute reset before the week gets away from you. That is how you keep urgency from running the room. Because urgency can get your attention, but it should not be what makes the plan. And that connects directly to where we are going next. Episode 50 is coming, and I want to pause for something bigger than a milestone. I want to talk about what change has taught me about leadership, growth, and getting honest. Because after 50 episodes, and after years of leading teams, coaching clients, training across different environments, navigating corporate change, personal change, career change, and the kind of change that forces you to look at yourself differently, I keep coming back to this. Change will show you what is working. It will also show you what you have been avoiding. And leadership True, real leadership requires that honesty to look at both. So before we get there, sit with this question. Where am I letting urgency make the plan when what I really need is honesty about what this season requires? If this episode was useful, send it to a leader, manager, colleague, or friend who is trying to lead through summer without letting their calendar run the room. Like, subscribe, and do not miss episode 50. And if you're ready to stop navigating leadership transition and your next chapter alone, book a clarity call with me. This is the work that I do every single day. And until next time, stay fierce, stay bold, but most importantly, stay unapologetically you.